Can you all see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so telephonic interview is conducted over the telephone. Telephonic interviews are conducted to shortlist the candidates, and it is one of the initial round of interview. The competition here is very high due to the participation of a lot of candidates, and here you need to be very good in communication. You have to be able to express your opinions, your ideas. You have to be able to communicate your experiences, your abilities, your skills orally, so that the interviewer is impressed and so that the interviewer selects you. Okay, the interviewer here cannot see you because it's just a telephone conversation, so you cannot see the interviewer and the interviewer also cannot see you. So it totally depends upon how you speak, and also you have to be a very good listener. You don't have to necessarily dress up for a telephonic interview, but a lot of people, just to feel that it's an interview, just to make themselves feel that yes, it is an interview, they dress up as well. So it's totally up to you. It's not a necessity, or it's not something that you must do for a telephonic round of interview, because the other person cannot see you. Okay, and whenever you know that you're going to get a call from the recruiter's end, you need to stay at the place which has good network. Okay, and where you are able to talk properly, where you are able to communicate with the interviewer properly, so that there's no one to disturb you. And if somehow you are not in a place or where you'll be able to have a conversation, have a very good conversation, or if you are not at your home, or not if you are at some other place, suppose at the mall or at some other place, then at least be alert. When you know that you're going to get the call, be alert, do not miss the call. Even if you are busy, do not say I'll call you back, or please call me after some time. Do not say these things, because you're not going to get that call, or will not be selected after that. So receive the call wherever you are, and just try to have an effective conversation, so that you are selected. Okay, and you have to be a very good listener when you interact with the interviewer over the telephone. That's the basic concept of telephonic interview. Next is online interview, which was earlier also known as Skype interview. Skype was the only formal platform where interviews were conducted online earlier. Nowadays, there are a lot of other video conferencing platforms where interviews are conducted, and before the interview, you will be asked to install or download the software or the application where the interview will be conducted. Okay, and you have to do it accordingly. Nowadays, there are a lot of video conferencing applications which are used for the online interviews. Okay, so online interviews were, of course, a part of the recruitment process earlier also, but after the pandemic, after COVID-19 has hit us, online interviews have become that source which is helping the organizations to select the candidates. Earlier, there was only one round of online interview. Nowadays, each and every round is conducted online. Okay, nowadays each and every round of interview is conducted online because we are unable to move from one place to the one place to another due to the pandemic. We cannot move from one place to another place, so that is why nowadays all the interviews are conducted online. The GD round is also conducted online. The last round of interview, it might be a HR round, it might be a personal interview round, is also conducted online. Then whatever round is there in the recruitment process is nowadays conducted online. Earlier there was only one round of online interview, and rest of the rounds were conducted accordingly, the according to the structure, according to the plan. Okay, but nowadays due to the pandemic, because we are unable to move, so all the rounds of interview are conducted online using the video conferencing applications. Now for this round of interview, you have to definitely get ready, you have to dress up formally. Okay, you have to dress up formally, and you have to also turn on your video and your audio when you interact with the interviewer. Okay, so the interviewer must be able to see you, and you must be also able to see the interviewer. So you have to also maintain that connection, you have to be able to create that connection with the interviewer, and you have to be able to communicate effectively. Just the difference between a face to face interview round and an online interview round is that in a face to face interview round, you get to meet the interviewer personally, whereas in an online interview round, you have to use a device in order to communicate with the interviewer. You have to take the help of a device and a software or an application to be able to communicate with the interviewer. Okay, and for online interviews, you have to dress up, you have to check your gadgets, you have to check your gadgets, you have to check the lighting, uh, you have to check the network, you have to check the the background. Okay, because your background needs to look good. Okay, your background cannot have things falling here and there, so your background should be organized, and you must be comfortable when you are having an online interview. Okay, you must keep your gadget, your phone or your laptop on a table, then sit on a chair, maintain proper body language, and then maintain proper eye contact with the interviewer and have an effective conversation with the interviewer. Okay, and these are the certain things you need to take care of when you um, sit or when you face this kind of an interview. Okay, next is face to face interview or personal interview round. So this is one of the most common rounds of interview. You might not have a telephonic round of interview, you might not have an online round of interview, you might not have a panel interview, you might not have any other round of interview, but at least you'll have one round of interview, isn't it? In order to select a candidate, the recruiters will definitely conduct at least one round of interview, and if there's only one round of interview, that is the face to face interview round or the personal interview round, where you need to meet the interviewer personally and communicate with him or her directly. Okay, now this is one round of interview where you have to be very confident. Okay, where you have to be very confident and you have to meet the interviewer personally, and you have to interact with him directly. You don't need any device, or you don't need a phone or a system to be able to communicate with the interviewer. You have to directly go to the place, to the venue, and then you get the chance to meet the interviewer personally. Again, for a face-to-face round of interview or for a personal round of interview, sorry, for a personal round of interview, you have to dress up properly. You have to carry all your certificates, all your documents with you, and you have to reach on time, and you have to maintain the decorum, and you have to maintain proper body language, have good communication skills, must be confident, and maintain professionalism when you go for a face to face interview round. The difference between online and face to face interview, as I have already told, is here in a face to face interview round, you have to go to meet the interviewer to a particular place. You have to travel, but for an online interview, you don't have to travel. You can sit at your home. You just need a laptop or a phone in order to be able to communicate with the interviewer. Okay, hopefully things will get back to normal, and again, the general process of interview will start soon, which will include different rounds of interview, and you will have to go and personally meet the interviewer and communicate with him in order to get selected. So hopefully these things will be uh, these things will start someday and things will get back to normal. Okay, but for time being, all the interviews are conducted online. Okay, even if there are 3 4 rounds of interview, you are not called to any particular place. You will just have to turn on your you'll just have to turn on your laptop or your computer or your mobile phone, use the software or the application in order to communicate with the interviewer. Okay, and online also different rounds of interviews are conducted. Okay, is it clear, students? Is it clear? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you all
Yes, ma'am.
understood? Okay, next is written or online test. So, if you want to work in the government sector, irrespective of the job, irrespective of the designation, you have to write or you have to pass a written or an online test. Okay, for government jobs. So if you want to work in a government sector, you have to prepare for a written or an online test. So the syllabus would be provided to you. Okay, and accordingly you have to study and you have to go and appear. Okay, after you pass the written round of interview or the online test, after you pass the written test or the online test, then you will be called for the next round of interviews, which might be a personal interview round or it might be a different round as well. Okay, after you pass the written test or the online test, you'll be called for the next round of interview. Okay, so when it is mandatory for you to pass a written or an online test, you cannot ignore that. Okay, you have to study hard and you have to pass that examination. And the syllabus, as I have already mentioned, will be provided to you earlier so that you can prepare. Nowadays, a lot of private organizations also conduct written or online tests. So, if there is a written or an online test, you have to clear that in order to go to the next round. Generally, written or online tests are conducted initially. This is one of the first round of interview. So, written test, after the written test or after the online test, you are called for the personal interview. Okay, so you even if you want to work in a private sector, you might have to pass a written or an online test, because most of the private organizations today have started conducting this kind of tests. Okay, and again the syllabus will be given to you earlier so that you can study, so that you can prepare yourself for the examination. Okay, so the general subjects in these kind of tests are current affairs or general knowledge. Okay, current affairs or general knowledge. And second is English grammar, English comprehension. Then reasoning, third is reasoning. And fourth is And fourth is aptitude, quantitative aptitude or qualitative aptitude. Okay, so generally these are the subjects. There might be other subjects as well depending upon the type of the kind of examination, okay, or the kind of job. You might have to study the subjects you are studying now, your core subjects, in order to pass a particular examination. So the syllabus might be different for each and every profile, for each and every organization, okay, and you have to follow the syllabus, prepare accordingly, and pass the written test in order to go to the next round. Okay, next is panel interview. Panel interview is that type of an interview where you need to interact with more than where you have to interact with more than one interviewer. Okay, in a panel interview there are at least two interviewers. Okay, in a panel interview there are at least two interviewers, and there might be more than two interviewers as well. Okay, in a panel interview there's only one candidate. Okay, there's only one candidate, but there are two or more than two interviewers, and if you are the candidate you have to interact with each and every interviewer and answer to each and every interviewer. Okay, and you have to be able to make a connection with each and every interviewer. There might be two interviewers, there might be three, there might be four interviewers as well. Okay, next is group interview. So a group interview is an interview where multiple candidates are interviewed at the same time. Where multiple candidates are interviewed at the same time, and there might be one interviewer, there might be one more than one interviewer as well. But there will be more than one candidate. Multiple candidates, two, three, four, five candidates, multiple number of candidates are interviewed at the same time. And regarding the interviewers, there might be only one interviewer or there might be more than one interviewer as well. But in a panel interview, there's only one candidate, only one interviewee, but two or more than two interviewers. Is it clear, students? Panel and group interview, is it clear? In a panel interview, there's only one candidate and two or more than two interviewers. In a group interview, multiple candidates are interviewed at the same time, and there might be only one interviewer and there might be more than one interviewers as well. Is it clear, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubts regarding panel and group interview? Have you understood the difference between panel and group interview? Yes, students, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Okay, next is group discussion. I have already explained you what group discussion is. I have already told you that most of the organizations have included group discussion in the recruitment process, and I have already discussed about this topic, so I am not going to say anything much about this topic today because I have already explained this topic to you all. Next is JAM session, JAM session. It's a short form which stands and the full form of JAM is just a minute session. Okay, JAM is a just a minute session. JAM session is a just a minute session. Okay, so J stands for just, A stands for itself, then M stands for minute. JAM stands for just a minute. Okay, and it's a session which is sometimes separately conducted during the recruitment process, and sometimes it can be a part of the panel interview, the group interview, the telephonic interview, the online interview, the personal interview round as well. Okay, it can be sometimes conducted separately. So if it is conducted separately, if you know there's a just a minute session, you must know that a topic would be given to you. Okay, a topic would be given to you and you have to speak on that topic for a minute. Okay, the topic would be provided to you on the spot and you have to speak on that topic for a minute. Okay, so you cannot exceed the time limit. Okay, you have to finish everything within a minute. This kind of sessions are conducted to see whether you are able to manage time or not, whether you are able to manage stress or not, whether you have good presence of mind or not, whether you have knowledge regarding certain important things or not. Okay, so these kind of sessions are conducted in order to evaluate these kind of skills of the candidates. Okay, so in just a minute session you have to be very confident and you cannot say irrelevant things. Okay, you have to say things which makes sense. You have to be logical. Okay, and also your whatever you say, your speech must be organized. So you of course do not get time for any kind of preparation. You have to deliver the speech as soon as you get the topic. As it is an impromptu speech, you have to deliver the speech as soon as you get the topic. But before you say anything, please think and say, please talk about relevant things and do not say anything that makes that has no relation with the topic. And say 10 lines. Do not try to include a lot of information because you have only 1 minute. But whatever you say 10 lines, but those 10 lines, those 10 points must be logical and important. Okay, and as I have already said that this can be a part of any other round of interview as well. So if you are asked, when you are having a conversation with the interviewer, if you are asked to say regarding something for a minute, that is a just a minute session. Even your introduction is considered as a just a minute session because you are supposed to give your introduction within a minute. Now within a minute does not mean that you are supposed to end it within 10 seconds, 20 seconds or 30 seconds. You have to utilize your time. You have to make use of the time. Okay, so your time management skills are also evaluated and this kind of sessions are conducted. So in any other round of interview also, if there's no separate round, if there's no such separate round, in any other round of interview as well, you might be given a topic and you might be asked to speak on that topic for a minute, and you have to do so accordingly and follow all the rules and regulations. And again I'm repeating, your introduction, the introduction is also must be given, should be also given for 1 minute. Okay, your introduction must be of 1 minute. Okay, is it clear, students? Types of interview, is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then moving ahead, types of interview questions. There are actually many other types of interview questions as well, but I have included three of the types of interview questions because these are some of the common ones and these are some of the interview questions which you will generally be asked in an interview. Traditional questions, technical questions and case interviews. Okay, what are traditional questions? Traditional questions are the common interview questions. For example, introduce yourself. Why should I hire you? What are your strengths? Do you have any weakness? What is your salary expectation? These are some of the examples of traditional questions. So, whenever you apply for a job and whenever you are asked to come for an interview, you have to prepare for that interview and you have to prepare these common questions as well. Okay, so the preparation process also includes preparation of how to answer to the common interview questions. Okay, and these are some of the questions which will be definitely asked in any kind of interview, in a telephonic interview, in a panel interview, in a group interview, in any type of interview these questions are asked. So you must first of all try to know the questions, try to figure out the questions, and then try to think of the answers which will help you to confidently answer to the questions in the interview. Okay, Next is technical question. Technical questions will totally be based on your core subjects. Okay, so there can be a separate round of interview, separate technical round of interview where you'll only be asked questions related to your subject, or in a personal interview round, in a panel interview round, you might be asked questions related to your core subject. So you must be also thorough with your subjects. Okay, because any question, you might get any question or anything related to your, you might be asked anything related to your subject. Next is case interview. So a case interview is a job interview in which the applicant is presented with a challenging business scenario that he or she must investigate and propose a solution to. Okay, these interviews are designed to test a candidate's analytical skills and soft skills within a realistic business context. Now, these kind of interviews are conducted in order to test the analytical skills of a particular candidate, whether the candidate has good analytical skills or not. So in order to check that, in order to review that, these kind of interviews are conducted, or these kind of questions are asked during interviews. Okay, now case interviews are totally uh, a different category of questions. Okay, a scenario will be given to you, or a situation will be dictated. Okay, a scenario will be given to you, will be presented to you, and you have to propose a solution, you have to provide a solution. Okay, and you have to be very very good in doing this. Your solution must be up to the mark, and then only you will be selected. Okay, a problem will be given to you. Okay, a problem will be shared, or a situation will be presented, and you have to propose a solution, you have to investigate, you have to be able to propose a solution. So if you would have been in that particular place, what would you have done in order to sort out, or in order to solve that particular problem? So these questions are basically asked in order to, this kind of situation is definitely presented to you in order to evaluate your analytical skills, and also in order to see how logical you are, or whether you are able to solve the problems or not, whether you have problem solving skills or not, and whether you are a person who can deal with any kind of situation or not. Is it clear? Is it clear, students? Case interviews, technical questions, and traditional questions. Is there any
Yes, ma'am.
doubt? Clear to all of you? Because these are some of the very important things related to interview skills which you must know. Because tomorrow, when you'll face an interview, you will have to know all these things. Then only you'll be able to crack an interview. Okay? Now, what are you supposed to do in order to get selected? In order to impress the interviewer. So in order to impress the interviewer, you don't have to lie. Okay, you have to be loyal, you have to be very loyal, and you have to say the truth. But how you present it, it matters a lot. If you present it in a very good manner, then definitely the interviewer will be impressed and you will be selected. But if you are unable to do so, if you are unable to present it in a beautiful manner, and if the interviewer is unable to understand what you're actually trying to say, then you'll not be selected. So there are certain strategies and techniques in order to crack an interview. So when you apply for a job, you must know that in order to get selected, you must be able to do marketing of your skills and your experiences. You have to be able to sell your skills and experiences so that they buy your skills. What does buying your skills or experiences mean here is so that they select you. Once they like your skills, when do you buy a product? When you like all the features of the product, isn't it? So when the person, the interviewer, will be convinced that yes, you have skills, you have enough experience, you have the right skills, you have the right knowledge, then of course you will be selected. So you have to sell your skills, you have to sell your experience in order to be able to become a part of that organization. So, marketing your skills and experiences is something that you have to do when you face an interview. You must be able to communicate your experiences, your skills, your goals, and everything properly so that the interviewer feels that you are the best choice for that particular position. Okay, so that the interviewer feels that you are the right person who will be able to handle everything and who should be selected. Okay, so marketing your skills and experience is something that you must do when you go for an interview, when you face an interview. Next is, how are you supposed to prepare before any interview? So you must prepare. Preparation is very necessary for any interview. Okay, you cannot just wake up in the morning and go and face an interview. If you do that, you will miserably fail. You will definitely fail. In order to get selected, you have to do do some kind of things which will help you to get selected. And what kind of things you have to prepare, and these are some of the things which you must do before any interview. A good resume in order to apply for the job is very necessary, because if you do not have a good resume, you will not be even called for the interview. Okay, your if your resume is rejected, then you will not be even called for the interview. Okay, so a good resume is very, very necessary. I have already provided the format in the group. Please check it. Okay, please check it. And that's the format that you have to follow. Okay, you have to make a good resume and you have to share it. You have to share it with the organizations where you want to work. So in order to apply for a job, you need a resume. Next is documents. You must have all your documents with you. Okay, you must have all your documents, and your documents must be kept in a file. Okay, you can buy a leather file, okay, which is a bit costly. You will not get it in 50 rupees or 100 rupees. It will take 300-400 rupees, but it's an investment for a lifetime. Okay, you can keep all your documents safely there in that particular leather file, and your all the documents will be safe. Okay, so must have all your documents in one good file. Okay, along with a few hard copies of your resume. So you must have a few hard copies with yourself. Okay, and of course you need to have a soft copy, and the soft copy must be saved somewhere in your phone, or mm, or in your mail account, so that whenever you need it, you can send it, or you can print it out. Okay, so it must be with you all the time. And regarding the hard copy, along with all your documents, you must also keep a few copies, 2 3 copies of your resume too. Okay, next is formal dress. So for an interview, you need to wear formal dress, isn't it? So if you are facing interview in the campus, you can wear your uniform, but outside the campus you cannot wear your uniform, isn't it? Later on, when you will face interviews outside the campus, then you cannot wear your uniform. For that, you have to have a formal pair of shoes, formal shirt, formal trouser, belt which should match the color of your shoes, formal shoes, then socks, a pair of socks, and the color of the socks should be either black, either gray, or dark blue. Okay, or dark blue. Do not wear white socks. White socks are not supposed to be worn. Okay, when you go for an interview, you can wear black socks, you can wear gray socks, or you can wear navy blue color socks. Okay. And next is practice the common interview questions. So this is another very important part of the preparation process. You have to practice the interview questions. Okay, you have to practice the common interview questions in order to be able to answer to the questions confidently. I have also provided you a set of questions and answers for your reference. Go through it and check the questions and the answers, but do not memorize the answers. You have to think of your own answers. Okay, the answers are given only for your reference so that you can understand how to answer to the questions, to the particular questions. Next is research about the company. So before you face any interview, you need to know about the company. So research is very necessary related to the company. You need to know where is the company situated. You need to know about the mission and vision of the company. You need to know about the products and services of the company so that you have an idea regarding the company, and so that if any questions related to the company is asked to you, so that you're able to answer the question properly. Okay, so research about the company before you go for any kind of interview. Next is grooming. So you have to groom yourself up, you have to look good. You don't have any other option rather than looking good in the day of the on the day of the interview. Okay, you have to look good on the day of the interview. You must cut your hair properly, you must trim your nails and everything, and you must look good. You must shave your beard. Okay, and regarding the girls, you must not wear any accessories apart from a small earring. Okay, you can wear a small earring, but apart from that, you are not supposed to wear neck pieces, chains, bangles and all. You can wear one ring if you are married or if you're engaged, but nothing apart from that. Yes, of course, you can wear a watch or leather strap watch. Okay, so these are some of the things, and you have to comb your hair and tie your hair properly. So these are some of the things you have to take care of before you face an interview. Okay, now these are some of the do's and don'ts of interview, what you should do when you go for an interview and what you should not do when you go for an interview. When you go for an interview, take permission before you enter the room. Okay, before you enter the room, you need to take permission. If the door is closed, you need to knock and wait for the other person to call you inside. And if the door is open, you need to ask this particular question: may I come in, madam? May I come in, sir? Okay. Next is decrease your stress. Do not be too stressed. Okay. And even if you're stressed, and stress is something that is very normal when you face interview, but it should not be seen. Okay, and you are not supposed to sound nervous. Okay, so try to calm yourself down before you enter the room. Next is prepare some anecdotes. Anecdotes are real life incidences or experiences that can be shared when certain questions are asked to you. Okay, so you can prepare these kind of short stories which are related to some real life experiences, such as how do you overcome a situation, how do you overcome a problem, or how do you face a problem. So you can provide an example when this kind of question is asked to you. Next is arrive early. Arrive 10 minutes early, do not be late. Okay, the next point is check your appearance. You need to check whether you're looking good or not, whether you're looking professional or not before you go for an interview. Next is positively conduct yourself. So you must be able to spread positivity, not negativity. Okay, so try to conduct yourself in a positive manner. Next is maintain eye contact and proper body language. So proper body language is very, very necessary. Okay, and you need to maintain eye contact with the interviewer. You are supposed to dress appropriately for the interview, and the last one is to be able to communicate properly. You must have good communication skills, must be able to speak properly, must be able to maintain proper body language, and also must be a good listener. Okay, so these are the certain things that you should do when you go for an interview. Okay, is it clear, students? These are some of the don'ts, these are some of the things which you should totally avoid when you go for an interview. Do not interrupt the interviewer when the interviewer is saying something to you. Do not interrupt. Okay, never ever interrupt the interviewer. Listen to him and then answer. Do not smoke, chew gum, or place anything on the interviewer's desk. Okay, you are not supposed to place anything on the interviewer's desk. Do not place your hand or your file. Your file must be on your lap, your hands must be on your lap. Do not wear heavy perfume or cologne. You are not supposed to wear strong perfumes. Okay, you are supposed to smell good, but do not wear strong perfumes. Then do not argue. You are not supposed to argue. You're supposed to be polite. Do not try to be perfect. You are not perfect. We are not perfect. We human beings are not perfect. So we should not try to be perfect, because when we try to be perfect, we tend to make a lot of mistakes. Do not panic. It's an interview. It's a communication process. Nobody is going to kill you or scold you. So do not panic during the interview. Do not make noise while opening or closing the door or while pulling the chair. Do not make noise while doing these activities. Be gentle while pulling the chair or while opening or closing the door. Okay? Just a minute, students. So these are some of the things, some of the